It was a cold morning at the end of late summer in 1942. He saw the city on the horizon and believed it was only another point on the map. He kept walking and trusted that neat arrows on a staff plan would decide the day. A dull rolling sound rose from far ahead. The air grew hot and bitter as if the wind itself burned. Dust struck his eyes and mouth and the world narrowed to a single raw sensation. They were moving toward the Volga and every step felt heavier. He had been promised a swift triumph. He had been told the city would fall within days. One first clear look at Stalingrad overturned every promise and every plan. By the last days of summer our regiment entered the open steppe. The road seemed to run without end. The sun pressed down and the steel of rifles and machine guns burned the hands. Water in our flasks turned warm and sour and did not quench thirst. Officers repeated one fixed formula again and again. We must reach the river. We must cut the supply. We must finish the campaign. The column kept its pace and each man pictured the map drawing into one straight line. We believed there would be a junction and a crossing and a clean decision. Ahead there would be only a city by water and a quick end. Then the cannonade broke our thoughts apart. The city was not a junction at all. Before us stood an iron maze spread along the bank. Tall smokestacks pulled the sky downward. Rail lines cut across yards and loading docks and vanished into sheds. Workshops rose on bare concrete pillars that looked like bones. Streets were shattered and facades opened into black cavities. Doors had vanished and stairways hung like broken ribs. Walls were combed flat by machine gun fire and scored by shell splinters. Every building looked like a wrecked ship that had grounded on the Volga. The map in our hands lost its meaning and its promise. Only a few signs remained to guide us. A brick arch barely standing. A bridge frame that still breathed but not fully alive. The bright needle of a plant spire that caught the pale sun and then disappeared in smoke. We made our first push in a rush of effort and dust. For a short time it felt like a normal city action. Enter the block. Push out the defense. Hold the ground. Bring the mules and the handcarts and the boxes of cartridges. Very soon the district refused to obey orders. Breaches in walls chose the paths. Shadows in basements chose the pace. We reached a yard where rails lay twisted like roots. In one corner a deep bomb crater yawned like a well. Through that mouth we saw the slice of a workshop floor and a line of broken presses. We chose the underpath and moved through the basement. The air smelled of lime dust and old smoke and wet bricks. Someone whispered that stairs lay ahead. We felt our way along the wall with gloved hands. Above us a sniper worked his bolt and the sound clicked like ice. Bullets hissed so close they seemed to breathe. In that moment a hard truth settled. The front was not a line any longer. The front had become a chain of rooms and landings where every second could cost a life. The first day turned into a litany of small exact motions. Jump a gap where the floor had fallen away. Press your spine to a concrete column and count a slow 10. Wait for the dust to settle and only then lift your head. Open each door with the muzzle and keep your eyes below the windowsill. Learn to move without noise and to hear the quiet between blasts. Learn to read direction by the faint pull of a cold draft in a corridor. A single meter became more important than any bright kilometer on a map. A narrow field of view proved more valuable than a full plan for a whole district. We learned to breathe in short measured takes. We learned to measure time by the rhythm of artillery and by the pause that came after it. By nightfall our boots were coated with ash and powdered brick. Our canteens were nearly dry and our voices were rough. The Volga was close and yet it felt as distant as the sea. Stalingrad no longer looked like a city to capture. It looked like a machine designed to grind men down room by room and stair by stair. We moved again and each movement seemed to rewrite the plan we had trusted in the morning. The promise of a quick victory faded like smoke over the river. What remained was the next doorway, the next corner, the next breath, and the knowledge that the map could not save us. Only patience and small advances would. We take a room and the courtyard slips away again. We climb a stairwell and give ground in the corridor. By daylight we push for a single breach in a wall, and by night we search for water and for ammunition. Our supplies knot themselves inside broken beams and dust. Crates wedge inside piles of rubble and will not move. Radio signals fade into static and into the hammering of nearby fire. When the sun goes down we learn that the city breathes to its own rhythm. It does not follow arrows on a map or the words from a staff table. It responds to strength and to weakness in the smallest details. Where one grenade lies on a step. Where one full magazine is hidden in a pocket. Where one windowpane survives without a crack and gives a field of view to a single rifle. Night brings a different voice. The Volga murmurs beyond the dark horizon and the sound carries through the frost. Far away we hear motorboats touching the current. We imagine how the enemy moves men under cover of fog and moon. Our fire cannot seal the width of the river. Two dull lanterns drift and then melt inside the mist. We sit in a cold basement and count what remains with slow hands. Cartridges. Bandages. Water. Rations. A coil of wire. A single field dressing. Each item becomes a mark on a new map that fits inside the head. This map holds no names or streets. It holds only the path to the nearest water. The crawlspace to a machine shop. The passage that will let us live until the next dawn. We draw these paths with memory and with fear, and we follow them by touch. I try to set down a few lines in a small notebook. My hand shakes from hunger and from the sense that the wall beside me moves like a chest. I write about the first shock and the taste of brick dust. I write about the gap between lessons on a board and the truth under a beam. Here a single brick can conceal a muzzle and a single hole can swallow a man. Here every shard of glass shines for a second in a beam and outlines your shoulders. Here doors do not offer rooms. Doors open into fights that begin without words. We go forward because behind us there is only emptiness and smoke. We do not know how long this battle will hold us. We know one rule. Inside this city no one wins in a single day and no one loses in a single hour. The balance tilts with every step and with every breath that we take. At first light we step into the yard again. The smoke thins and hangs like gauze. A pale strip appears above the stacks and the chimneys. Silence holds for a few heartbeats and then steel begins to speak again from three sides. I look at a shattered arch and at a staircase that ends in open air, and I understand that this is our new world. It is a world of narrow passages and short dashes and walls that answer with sound. It is a world where the survivor counts steps rather than divisions and measures ground by body length. We came to the Volga seeking a quick victory and a clean arrow on a map. We found a city that turns every second into an examination and every meter into a question that must be paid for with sweat and with blood. This is only the first day and the first long night. There will be cold and there will be hunger that makes teeth ache. There will be basements that smell of oil and there will be stairs that hold on a single bent bar of rebar. Yet the main change begins now. The myth of a lightning thrust fades like smoke and does not return. In its place a different map grows behind the eyes. It is a map of short distances and quiet rushes and small decisions that break great plans apart. If you want to understand this battle, then stay close to the wall and breathe shallow. We will move deeper into the city and we will watch a single room stop a column. We will go where 1 meter weighs more than a full chart and where each breath can become the last or the one that saves a life and opens the way to the next door. We sleep in corners of stairwells and in damp basements. Morning starts with a quiet review of our paths. We do not use hallways. We pass through holes smashed in brick and plaster. Every opening has a name we remember. Silent. Hot. Dangerous. Names keep order in the wreckage. Names keep us from losing our way in the broken city. The first rule of staying alive is simple. Do not place your body against a window. The second rule is to change the path every time. The third rule is to hear the silence. The space between blasts holds small sounds. A foot on grit. A sleeve brushing stone. We train to walk so cartridges do not click in a pocket. We tape metal. We pad buckles. Here a small sound becomes a flare. A small habit becomes a shield. Water is worth more than bullets. We carry it in dented cans from wounded hydrants. Food is always cold. Bread tastes like dust and crumbles in the hand. A fire is a signal in the sky. Smoke brings eyes and then shells. We eat fast and we do not speak. We fold every wrapper and hide it in a cloth bag. We leave no trace that can tell a story to a stranger. A sniper breathes somewhere near. We do not see him and yet he is always present. We slide along broken steps and stay to the shadows. Each of us watches 3 angles at once. Eyes sting from lime and powdered concrete. The air dries the throat. The dust sticks to sweat. We keep moving because stillness invites a line of sight. Our commander teaches us to count rooms as if counting beats. 1 room. 2 rooms. 3 rooms. Between them there is always a thin throat of darkness. We do not throw a grenade to the center. We throw it to the edge where spare magazines like to wait. The small sapper shovel settles arguments faster than a long burst. When the enemy is near, the large plan collapses. Only the hand and the breath and the next step remain. Life holds by threads. Socks steam dry against the warm side of an engine block. A bandage is tied with a bootlace when clips are gone. A flashlight gulps its last light. We share batteries the way we share bread. Each person keeps a private ritual. One shoulder touches a doorframe before entry. Another hand checks the bolt 2 times and then 1 more time. These motions borrow a little order from the chaos. They give a sense that choice is still possible. Night does not grant rest. Night gives a ledger. We count cartridges and dressings. We move our kit so fingers can find each piece in darkness. We rehearse a path by touch until the body remembers without eyes. In the mind we sketch a new map of ruins. It has no street names. It has doors and stairs and pipes and holes. It has fire scars and fallen beams and a single safe step on a broken stair. At first light the map shifts again. New rubble. New echoes. New routes with new names. And we begin the count once more. We use our hearing like a compass. The low rumble of the Volga points the way. When the air turns too clean and too still, we feel the strike that is coming. The quiet weighs more than artillery. We tighten the straps on our shoulders. We steady our breath. We set our stance to meet the shadow that moves toward us. In our squad every signal carries meaning. A clenched fist tells us to halt. 2 fingers at the eyes warn of a sniper. 2 slow taps on a wall mark movement on the right. We can climb from basement to roof without a single word. We guard the voice for 1 word only. The word alive. That word keeps the path open in the smoke. A diary rests in the breast pocket. It is thin and warm from the body. I write in it with short plain sentences. I end each line with a full stop so the mind can take a steady pause. A pause in this city costs a life, so the pause must be chosen with care. In the diary I note the hour when the enemy shifted position. I note the smell of burning in the 3rd entrance. I note the last glance of a comrade who will not return. The diary keeps me inside the real world. It stands in place of a map and an order. I turn the pages again and I see patterns rise. Where metal rings in the night there will be an assault at dawn. Where there is a whisper today there will be a shout tomorrow. Where the dust hangs heavy there will be smoke and fire by noon. We learn the rhythm of the city. Morning brings smoke and clatter. Day brings hard dust. Evening brings hard cold. Night brings a whisper and a long fear. Inside this rhythm we practice endurance. We practice the art of waiting. We measure each corner. We count each stair. We mark each door that opens with a groan. Once we cleared a room from end to end. We shut the door and set a machine gun on the windowsill. 1 hour later we pulled back down the stairs. Another platoon could not reach us because a breach fell in. Our gain lasted 1 hour and then was gone. The skill did not fade. We know how to pass this path again. We know the angle of cover by the cracked pillar. We know where a beam will take weight. We know how to break a shadow with a lantern and find the danger before it finds us. I write about fatigue with honesty. The hands tremble. The ears ring without rest. Sleep shatters when a single stone drops on the floor nearby. Yet inside the tired body there is a firm thread that does not snap. We move forward again. We hold the thin line of rooms again. We search for water and for batteries again. We open the diary and we add one more line. We do it even when the light is low and the breath smokes in the air. Our world has narrowed to a single meter of ground. In that meter everything is decided. Here a great plan is born and fails and is born again. Here one cartridge is the balance. Here a dry foot cloth is the margin. Here the one who sets order against foreign fear prevails. We keep that order from first light to last light. Each night I place the diary under my heart. I speak the same promise. I am still here. I still see. I still remember. I will rise when the Volga speaks again. Winter comes like a slow iron weight. The first warning is a rind of ice on the water in my canteen. I lift it to my ear and hear a soft crack. Wind moves through the broken windows and turns each corridor into a narrow river of air. My hands burn and then go numb. When feeling returns it arrives as needles and fire. I try to write a note to myself and the pencil snaps. I shave it with a bayonet and continue. The page trembles because my arms will not keep still. The room smells of damp wool and metal. The light is the color of smoke and morning never seems to begin. Logistics turns into rumor instead of plan. A runner brings a list that promises bread and ammunition and medical cloth and batteries. We wait for the cart that should follow. The cart does not arrive. A truck makes an attempt after dark. It is hit on the road and burns in a side street. By morning only a carcass remains and the thick smell of fuel. We search the wreck and pull out a box of the wrong caliber. We bargain with the next unit and trade 3 shells for 4 bandages. None of it is enough and none of it feels real. The map says resupply, but the map is a story and not a fact. We learn to build small answers for large problems. A bucket and 4 bricks become a stove. We feed it splinters from window frames and the slats of a broken chair. We hang socks above it and watch steam wander up to the ceiling. The first touch of warm air feels like a dream that will vanish if we breathe too hard. At night our machine gunner opens a belt with a knife and shakes powder into a tin. He lights a thread under the bucket and smiles without humor. The medic boils cloth so it will not fuse to wounds. He hums a tune to hide the sounds from the cellar next door. The stove pops. The bucket sweats. The smell of singed fabric follows us into sleep. Food becomes a clock that never stops. Morning is thin soup that tastes of iron. Midday is a crust of bread cut by a careful hand and a measuring eye. Night is a strip of horse meat when luck passes by. Sugar becomes money. 1 cube buys a candle or a whispered path through a wall. The cook counts rations with fingers that tremble from cold and from fear. He looks like a priest at a poor altar. We avoid his eyes because we know he is out of miracles. He writes numbers in a small book and the numbers refuse to rise. He sharpens a knife and the sound makes everyone quiet. The cold does not charge like an enemy. The cold watches like a guard. It sits in boots and steals toes one by one. It crawls into the bolt of a rifle and turns oil into glue. It makes breath into white frost that betrays a hiding place. We rub each other's hands and count to 50. We bind scarves across mouths and noses and learn to breathe through cloth. The man who forgets loses a finger. He shows it to us as if it were a lesson signed by Winter. We tape sleeves to cuffs. We sleep in shifts so someone always moves. We keep a coin in the pocket to test metal that might freeze to skin. Every small thing grows sharp teeth. A strap snaps and a helmet falls and the sound draws a flare. A sight fogs and a shot goes wide and the enemy advances by one room. A lantern dies and a man misses a step and the snow in the stairwell turns dark. Command speaks in heavy words. Hold the line. Take the factory. Close the pocket. In our rooms the world reduces to small nouns. Strap. Sock. Match. Canteen. Button. If a small noun fails then a large order collapses. We learn to touch each object as if it were a comrade. We say a quiet thank you to a working latch. We change the city into a toolbox. A door becomes a stretcher. A coat becomes a curtain for a draft that cuts like a blade. A spring from a sewing machine becomes a pin for a trigger. Someone finds parachute silk and stitches a blanket with numb fingers. Someone else pulls copper wire from a wall and wraps it around a handle so it will not freeze to a palm. We tie a brick to a rope and swing it so a can of water will pass from one window to another. The rope burns our hands but saves a walk across a courtyard full of glass and prints. A shutter becomes a shield against a gust that kills the stove. A belt becomes a tourniquet that buys a few minutes of life. By the second week we move like workers inside a clock whose gears grind and groan. We measure heat in breaths and light in matches and strength in quiet nods. Paper maps lie on a crate and curl at the edges. Orders arrive late and leave early. The world outside our block might be calm or on fire. We cannot tell. We only know the rhythm of the bucket and the hiss of powder and the scratch of pencil on damp paper. Winter keeps time and we follow because there is no other music to hear. Night patrol for supplies feels like casting a line into a black sea. We send out 2 men with empty bags and a quiet prayer. They follow cold pipes and creep through cracks and count their steps in silence. They return with a battery that holds a shy spark and a roll of tape and a small sack of flour. We greet them like heroes who crossed a mountain. We mix the flour with water and a pinch of salt and press it into a pan and call it cake. It tastes like soot and old metal. We chew it like a feast because our bodies ask us to believe. Across the river the enemy moves when night hides the banks. We see them as dark shapes and hear them as sleds that scrape and engines that cough. Their rotation never stumbles. Their ammunition arrives where hands wait for it. A narrow edge grows into a wide blade. We hold a room for a day and lose a hallway before dawn. We hunt for warmth like a dog that chases its tail. The floor turns into a chart of stains. The ceiling drips steady and patient. The walls crumble and dust hangs in our lungs. The radio speaks and then wheezes and then quits. The batteries are tired of our voices. We save the last spark for a call that might matter. When the call arrives it is not rescue. It is an order to hold one more hour and then another. We copy the words on a wall with a nub of coal. The coal snaps like a twig. We press the broken piece with our thumbs and draw lines that look like veins on a pale hand. The lines mean nothing without food to power the arm. An order with no bread is a seed with no water. My friend tells me that courage is quiet work done in the dark. He says courage is fingers that still tie a knot when the lamp is dead. He says courage is a man who keeps his socks dry when the roof is gone. He says courage is a match that waits for the wind to drop and then gives fire. I listen and then I laugh because he is right and because a brief laugh warms the ribs. We share the small heat and go back to our tasks. I stitch a glove with a bent needle. He sharpens a shovel on a stone. We make the little nouns obey our needs. By midnight the stove beats like a weak heart. We feed it with the leg of a chair and a slat from a crate. We watch for stray sparks that could betray us to eyes outside. A gust blows smoke back into the room and we cough and wipe our tears with the back of a hand. I think of home and of a kettle that sang on a clean stove. Here the kettle is a dented can with a wire handle. It sings only when there is enough water to clean a wound. The medic listens for that thin note as a sign that one more hand might be saved. Morning arrives without mercy. The sky is white and sharp and the light hurts. Our breath makes ghosts that walk with us down the corridor. A runner comes with a rumor of a resupply drop. We lift our eyes to the clouds and see only blank air. We hear nothing but the scrape of wind on brick and tin. By noon the rumor is dead and cold. We bury it with the others and mark the place with a broken bottle. We do not waste words. Our feet keep moving because stopping turns the blood to ice. I look at my rifle and think of the hands that built it and tested it and shipped it and carried it before mine. I think of trucks that once fed us and of wide roads that once belonged to our side. Now the road is a narrow path between two holes in two walls. Now the truck is a man with a sack and a stiff back. Now the supply chain is a string of choices made in cold rooms by cold fingers that never see our faces. I respect each match as if it were gold. I guard each spoon as if it were a blade. I count each step and feel the floor through worn soles. I write one last line before dark steals the margins. Our plan has not been stopped by a genius defense. Our plan has been broken by hunger and frost and miles. Our plan has been tested by the simple truth that a soldier is a human who needs heat and bread and dry cloth before he can carry any idea forward. We can still fight for a room and for a stairwell and for a doorway. We cannot feed a map or warm a strategy. Winter has turned the smallest detail into the true commander that sets the pace. I tighten my scarf and pull it over my mouth. I warm my hands above the bucket stove until the skin stings. I wait for night to fall again. I wait for the next small task that will keep me alive until morning. Snow dusts the ruins and turns to dirty ice in the stairwells. Our soldier wakes to a silence that feels wrong. No distant rumble of supply trucks. No fresh voices moving up from the rear. He tightens the strap on his helmet and listens to the building breathe. Pipes tick. Wind hisses through broken glass. Somewhere a spoon taps a mess tin. The city is not a map anymore. It is a chain of rooms that must be held one by one. Orders arrive on a scrap of paper. Hold until relieved. Air bridge promised. The paper smells of kerosene. It warms the fingers for a second and then cools to nothing. He passes the note to the next man and they share a look that is half duty and half doubt. Relief has become a word with no date. The air bridge is a line in the sky that never lands where it should. They move before dawn through a tunnel of smashed brick. Every door is a question. Behind this door there might be an ambush. Behind that door there might be a stove. The squad leader counts his people like coins. He tells them to breathe slow and to keep low. The corridor opens into a workshop full of metal shavings, wire, and a tilted drill press. They take the wire, a can, and a bent sheet of tin. In this war even scrap can become heat. The first attack comes like a cough. A burst of fire, a grenade that rolls and stops, then feet on the stairs. The men fall back 2 rooms and hold the doorway with rifles and a single machine gun. Plaster falls in soft clouds. Splinters twitch in the floorboards. The enemy does not press a wave. The enemy presses a fingertip. A sapper's charge in the wall. A flame lick under a door. A careful push and then patience. Minutes feel like rope being pulled through a fist. After the attack they count ammunition. The squad leader makes a pile on a rag. Rounds for the rifles. Drums for the machine gun. 2 grenades with loose pins. One man has a bayonet but no scabbard. One has warm socks but no gloves. They trade like merchants under siege. A man with frostbitten fingers gets the socks. A man with steady hands gets the grenades. The logic is simple. Warm hands can hold a line. Cold hands drop a rifle. They find a child's room with stars painted on the ceiling. The stove is dead but the pipe is sound. Wire binds a tin can to the grate. The can will become a chimney lid. A door will become firewood. The floor will become splinters for kindling. They brew a cup of water for all of them to share. The steam feels like mercy. It fills the lungs and rinses the smell of old smoke. They mark the room on a scrap as a place to warm and to mend. In the basement a medic works by lantern with a sewing needle and hot water. He has 3 rolls of bandage left and a pot of carbolic that bites the air. He speaks to the wounded in a voice that never rises. The soldier holds a flashlight until the battery fades to a brown blink. The medic thanks him and ties a knot with teeth and fingers. The wounded man sleeps and breathes shallow and even. Above them the building groans like a ship in ice. Night brings the sound of boots in the snow outside. A patrol slides along the wall and listens at vents. The enemy is close. Voices rise and fall through the pipes. The words are not clear but the tone is the same on both sides. Tired. Hungry. Set on a task that does not care about names. The patrol plants a wire across a doorway and marks the trap with a thumbprint of soot. They return the same way they came, heel to toe, counting steps in the dark. Morning brings a promise from the radio. Hold one more day. Supplies will come. The set crackles and dies. The battery is finished. The men laugh without sound. They have learned that promises do not fill canteens. They carry crates from a collapsed wall and build a barricade 2 rooms back. If the first doorway falls, the second doorway will stand. Lines on a map are straight. Lines inside a building bend like branches and hold because they give a little. The second attack is slower and smarter. A jet of flame kisses the lintel. Smoke rides the ceiling and hunts for lungs. The squad goes to the floor and breathes through cloth. A grenade tumbles and pops. The machine gun answers with a short angry run. The enemy withdraws a few meters and starts to dig. The wall shivers as a charge burrows into mortar. The men look at one another. They know the wall will not last. The squad leader points to the next room and taps his watch. They shift the defense in a rhythm. One man fires. One man moves. One man waits with a bandage. When the wall gives, it is not a blast. It is a sigh and a slump. Dust covers mouths and eyes. The enemy lunges and meets a table flipped on its side and a stove pushed into the gap. The room becomes a maze again. The soldier feels the trigger as a small clean thing under his finger. He fires and feels the recoil like a handshake. The push stops. The room empties. Silence rings. He hears the slow drip of a pipe and the tiny crackle of a coal that is not there. Afternoon cold creeps up the sleeves. The men huddle around the tin can stove. They pass a mug. 1 sip each. The squad leader speaks of the air bridge without heat or anger. He says that bridges exist to be crossed, not to be stared at. He says that their bridge is a rope made of hours. If they braid enough hours, someone may cross. The men nod. It is not hope. It is a task. Tasks are lighter than hopes. As dusk leans into the rooms, a runner arrives with a sack that looks heavy and is not. 2 bandage rolls. A handful of cartridges. A strip of pork that smells like a memory. The runner leaves the same way he came, thin and quick. The men split the cartridges, tear the pork into threads, and tuck the bandage where it can be grabbed in the dark. No speech. No ceremony. Only the ritual of staying ready. The soldier writes in his notebook by the last of the lantern light. He writes that the ring around them is not only outside. It is inside every plan that forgets small things. A glove. A match. A battery. He writes that the enemy wins by minutes and meters, not by speeches. He closes the book and listens. Somewhere a cup knocks a brick. Somewhere a man coughs. Somewhere boots scrape the snow. The night tightens. The room holds. The men wait for the next door to open, and when it does, they will be there. Snow hisses against broken windows. The stove goes out with a soft sigh. I count the last cartridges and the last breaths, as if numbers could build a bridge out of this cellar. The map in my pocket shows clean lines and bright arrows. The room shows soot, ice, and men who do not look up when shells fall. I pull the bolt of my rifle. It sticks for a moment. Grease is frozen. I warm the metal with my hands and lose the feeling in 2 fingers. I press the trigger on nothing and hear the tin click that tells the truth. The magazine is empty. The plan says hold the junction. The room says hold your heat. Morning brings rations that are not rations. A cup of gray water. 2 spoonfuls of barley. Someone shares a sugar cube and we divide it with a bayonet edge into perfect bright triangles. The taste makes my jaw sting. A runner arrives with orders. His scarf is white with frost. He coughs, salutes, and hands us a message that says the same brave words as yesterday. Hold fast. Relief is on the way. He sways and sits down because the room is spinning. We lift him, give him the last sip of hot water, and watch the steam leave his lips like a ghost. Outside, the street is a tunnel of brick ribs and ice. We cross it by sound and memory. Left 3 steps. Stop. Listen. A shot from the warehouse. A short rush to the next doorway. We trade a grenade for 10 quiet minutes. Silence is a kind of victory now. From the river we hear the scrape of sleds and the iron voice of distant engines. The enemy feeds the city while our sky remains a locked door. I think of home. I think of warm bread and soap. The thought hurts like a splinter under the nail. By noon the wind becomes a blade. We wrap our feet in dry cloth and pray the cloth stays dry. A comrade burns a strip of parachute silk inside a tin can to make a little stove. The flame is shy and blue. We hold our hands above it as if blessing a tiny church. A medic boils bandages in an ammunition box and counts seconds as if time itself could heal. He tells me to keep moving my fingers. I do, and the pain returns, which feels like a gift. Orders say hold the factory wall. The wall is a pile of white bricks and a door frame that opens onto nothing. We defend the nothing. Across the alley, the enemy climbs like smoke through holes and rafters, here and then gone, always with the right tool in the right place. Their steps are sure. Their rifles speak in short sentences. They have learned the grammar of rooms. We answer with scraps and faith. For 1 hour we push them back. For 1 hour we are giants. Then the stove dies again, and we become small. Twilight smears the snow with ash. A whistle blows and the alley erupts. We fall back through a corridor of torn posters and black ice. At the cellar door a boy from our squad is waiting with a pot of water that is actually warm. He grins like a lantern. We drink. For a moment the map in my pocket feels lighter. Then the officer reads the paper that ends the fight. The word is surrender. No brass or drums. Just boots on stone and a rustle of breath. I place my rifle down as if it were a sleeping child. I take my notebook. I write a single line. The meter defeated the map. A dry sock. A working bolt. A full magazine at the right minute.